There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Yes, I felt very bad because apparently the Twins passed out the information about 9:15 that Frank had died. I knew he'd been in hospice for a couple of months because of his kidney situation.
Frank Quilicy.
Yep, Frank Quilicy. He's the kidneys. He had to get a transplant, I think in 13, maybe 12 or 13. It was actually, they gave him a third kidney, and they put it in there, and he just carried it around there. And he got it from a gal named Elizabeth, who was the wife of a friend of his, who was among those that, was tested to see if she was compatible, and she was. So he walked around with that third kidney, and he would grab it and say, "Little Liz," as he'd call it. Little Liz is a great character, as you know, and we both had him as a manager with the Twins, and then had the announcing duty, and the announcing duty, I think, had as much to do with the success of Monday Night Sports Talk as anything.
Absolutely.
Yes, because was Quilicy Harrington's first? Close.
I believe so.
I think it was right there. Was it? I think it was. And, of course, famously, the Frank impersonation was so famous that we got an imaginary brother.
Oh,
Bill Quilicy.
Larry
King Show.
Yeah.
Frank's imaginary...
lead chips. Remember that?
Yeah. Frank's imaginary brother, Bill Quilicy. And Bill did call Larry King... Left Larry. Now, Larry, all those years of doing late night shows, had some odd callers.
Yeah.
But Bill Quilicy had to rank right up there with him, I think, because he said, "I'm Frank's imaginary brother" to Larry King.
You know what kind of manager Quilicy was? He was one of those managers who in every town, he had guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Guys.
Yes, he did.
Might have had, in some towns, it might have been food guys. In some towns, it might have been clothing guys.
Oh, yeah.
In some towns, it might have been jewelry guys.
Oh, he was made for the 70s with the suits and the
he had the bad
stuff.
Suits. Oh, yeah.
He did. The big everything. Bad. I saw a photo of him that I wrote something for the Star Tribune. 65, man, he had the burns. He had the big burns. Most Italian-looking guy ever. But his mother and father, Guido and Laura, met, both working at Fontana's Bakery on the south side of Chicago. And she was Dominowski. She was a Polish, So he could tell both Polish jokes and Italian jokes without having to.
That's an arsenal right there.
Yes, it is. He used to bring this. Well, you were there for the sausage sandwiches.
Oh, yes.
At Comiskey Park.
Yeah.
Guido, whenever they were there for the first game of a series, whether he was playing or managing or announcing, Guido would show up with a couple of paper bags full of Italian sausages, and they were sausages. They weren't great big links. They were like, a normal sized link, and it was just a beautiful piece of white bread wrapped around it with a little sausage on it, wrapped up, and everyone would await Frank, are the sausages going to be there? And yeah, they were always there. I ran across something I'd written a few years ago, a story he told me about Harry Carey being on the air with Jimmy Pearsall and saying, Jimmy, I got to go on a diet for a week. And Pearsall says, why? He said, because I got to get ready for Mrs. Quilicy's sausage sandwiches when she shows up. And so it was, that had to be a hell of a place to grow up, the south side of Chicago, man.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, back then.
Not
man.
right now, it's not.
Well, no, not. I think it's the west side where they kill each other.
Well, there's
right?
a lot of killing going on at some point of the compass.
Yes, but it was, he was always fun, that's for sure, Frank. And he was always happy.
Yeah.
Calvin put him through the ringer. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. 1974.
Well, Calvin would leave guys on the DL on the roster.
Steve Bry, with a broken wrist.
Right.
Steve Bry spent a month on the roster.
Not on the DL.
Not on the DL.
Yeah.
He says, use him as a pinch runner. He had a cast. He was a pinch runner. They weren't going to put him on the DL.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is when you had 9 pitchers for the most part, too, or 10. But yeah, he made him stay on. But what I always remember, Joe, is that 74, they'd had another lousy year at the gate, and they took away one of Frank's coaches. So Frank had 3 coaches. Mm-hmm. Buck Rogers, who was both the pitching coach and the bullpen coach, and Vern Morgan and Ralph Rowe. Mm-hmm. Vern coached third, but he was old and beat up and couldn't throw BP. Mm-hmm. And Ralph Rowe was old, the hitting coach, great guy.
Well, the Q-man threw BP.
Yeah, the Q-man and Buck Rogers on the road had to throw BP.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They didn't take a bullpen pitcher on the road. Those 2 guys threw 50,000 pitches apiece that summer on the road. And they'd get Jerry Terrell was on I think Terrell was there. I remember Terrell throwing a lot of BP. They'd have to get one of the position players to throw BP, too.
What a shoestring operation.
Oh, God. Yeah, and then it was the next year, 75, when Bry was on the active list for a month.
Were other teams running on that shoestring style?
Nobody was running that way. And, what happened is you look at the names, they aren't that bad. But Tony, was limping.
Yeah.
Tony played 10 games in 72, the year that Frank came in halfway through the year as the manager, because he was done if the DH hadn't passed. He couldn't have played. You couldn't play him in the field. And he DH, and heck if it was the 7th inning, you needed a run, you had to pinch run for him because it'd take 3 hits to score.
And then send the guy out there with a cast on his head.
And Harmon was done, too. Yeah. I mean, Harmon fouled the ball off his toe in about 1970 and was never the same because he had a toe the size of my head.
And the thing was, if you pinch ran for Tony, he couldn't come back in.
No, he couldn't.
Yeah, I thought he could.
Even though some of us thought it was a silly rule.
Yeah.
By the way, 74 and 5 were played in Shea Stadium both those years because they were
That's
rebuilding.
That's where I stood up and said, "Put Tony back."
Yes,
in.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I supported you on that. I wouldn't have ridiculed you.
No, I think you did.
And then they put him in the booth, and man, Frank was happy to be there. Mm-hmm. That was his bit. Was
he with Herb Carneal?
Yeah. Oh, Herbie loved him.
Yeah,
Herbie had high standards for his partners. First of all, he had Kathy at home, and she could be a little critical.
Right.
If Herb wasn't treated with proper reverence. But Frank always treated him with proper reverence, so they loved Frank. Now, Larry Kelton, when they brought him in, he's lucky that Kathy didn't get a hitman on him.
Right. How many years was he in the booth?
Well, he pretty much for about 10, but then he left a couple of times and came back. Okay. And of course, I pulled one of the greatest pranks ever, his first game, but I can't repeat it because
Did it involve profanity?
No, it involved a guy's name that could be mispronounced.
Oh, I see.
If you didn't watch yourself very carefully, who was pitching that night. And 2 minutes before he threw his first pitch, I came in the booth and says, "Frank, whatever you do, don't say boop."
Yeah. Did he then promptly say it?
No, he pronounced the guy's name very slowly the rest of the game. Yeah. So he was a great guy, though. I loved him. He was great.
Before, I've been looking for Quilicy stuff, and I don't have a tape player here, so I can't replay anything from tape. But when we come back, I have a special kid call. I don't know what year this is, but I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy.
You know
this.
what we would like to have, but we probably can, is the traffic report.
Angel's traffic report?
Angel's traffic report, because
didn't he do Q in there?
When Q was doing it, everything was just moving along really smooth.
A lot of car in the area. I'll see if I can find that.
All right, just a moment.
A few hairs on top of my head with that little one.
Yeah.
You off for that matter.
Okay. You sound like you're in the locker room.
That's exactly where I am.
Well, it beats the Lexington men's room.
Not really. I'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you. That was our Sid. Just checking in to say hello. And Dick Blueston leads the state amateur at Edina. If you like to watch a little golf, that's a beautiful place to watch it.
Oh, you should have seen us play there. You're on.
Yes, hi. I'm a 10-year-old boy named Ryan. I went up to Chicago with Patrick, and he made more funny noises than I did.
That's right.
Get rid of that kid. Hang up. Hang up. We don't.
What kind of noises, Ryan? Give us a few over the phone.
I can't describe them.
Yeah, they were pretty rough, weren't they?
Okay. You had a bunch of Big Macs.
Okay. Thanks, kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, he sounds exactly like his kid. I can't remember his voice sounding like that. He sounds exactly like his son.
A bunch of Big Macs, Mr. Royce?
I really can't remember.
Apparently.
I think Patrick does.
All I know is we were moving Katie's sister to Chicago, and we rented a truck.
Oh, I would like to see
We
that.
rented a truck that had a governor on it, and you couldn't go over 55 miles an hour.
Was this where the seat was? You were stuck far forward in the seat because the window scraper was blocking the seat from moving back and forth?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you were all scrunched up at the wheel.
All I know is I was ripping the kid for. There was nothing to entertain him, so he was entertaining himself with noises,
making funny noises,
little trucks and stuff, and
he was like this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why are you sitting so far ahead? I don't know.
We got down there, and she was living in some old place in Evanston, an old, like, fourplex. But she was upstairs, and they had this wooden stairway that went up, turned three different times to get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me hauling my fat ass back and up and down that thing to bring furniture up there.
Did you then have to drive the empty truck back here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would love to be. Was
it a U-Haul deal?
Yeah. No radio, no nothing.
Oh, my word.
And you were already with the present wife, so you were already sober.
Yes, I was sober. Yeah. I wish I wasn't. I wish I should have stopped and got a big jug of Tanqueray and just went for
the trip home.
That's probably the closest I ever came to losing my sobriety.
I can see that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I would like to hear you and see you behind the wheel of a big dock truck.
Well, here's the good part. Even though the governor was on, he kept pushing that.
Maybe I can get a couple more MPHs out of this thing.
255?
55.
Oh, that's dreadful.
And you'd get push. I tried to push that. Come on, at least get me up to 58. Come on.
You've got it to the floor, and you're still pushing.
Yeah, that's Ryan. I can't remember him.
Are you coming around to my view of the Vegas Knights? They're going to the Cup Finals.
They are fast. They were way better. I watched a little of their first game with Winnipeg, and in the second period, I thought Vegas was faster than they were. In the third, Winnipeg did a real nice job of shutting them down. But I still thought they were holding on. But last night was no contest.
No.
Vegas they are just lightning fast.
And then when Winnipeg drew to within a goal, they just promptly went and got another one.
Boy, was that a pretty goal. Nice play by those two guys. By the way, Smith set up this Marchesimo or whatever the hell his name is.
Marshall.
Those two guys both were in Florida last year. Both were two of their leading scorers, and somehow they wanted them not to take some other players, so it was just like the Wild. They gave them these two. These are the two guys they wound up with out of the draft. Two of Florida's best players.
I think the only thing
Riley Smith and whatever his name is.
I think the only thing that can stop them is it's Ovechkin's year. I think fate is conspiring to put.
Well, Washington, I think, probably is better than Winnipeg, but I don't know. More scorers, probably.
Can I change the subject?
Sure.
Such, you already talked about this evidently on the air, but Pat, did you know that Tom Wolfe passed away?
Yes.
87 years old.
He could write.
Reported as 87 or 88. I'm going with 88 because the New York Times had 88, I think.
That's the electric Kool-Aid acid test, right? Yeah, he was just
Bonfire of the Vanities.
a flat-out good writer, man.
The Right Stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, another fantastic book of his. Yeah.
But he didn't exactly crank them out.
No.
It'd be about a 3-year project to write one because
he cranked out the magazine pieces.
Yeah.
But then he said, "Do I write the novel?" And then he did Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yes.
And then Man in Full.
But he did this.
Man in Full was good, too.
I guess it's taken for granted these days, but back then, authors didn't involve themselves and make themselves part of the story.
That was the new journalism movement.
He was doing it, and Hunter did it, and a few other...
Gay Talese, Jimmy Breslin.
Yeah, Talese, Breslin, right.
Norman Mailer, Truman Capote.
Yeah.
They took the aspects of fiction and applied them to journalism.
Yeah.
Dialogue, scene-by-scene construction, point of view, and extraordinary detail.
Well,
with a little bit of lies thrown in.
No, it was all factual stuff.
With Hunter, you know.
Yeah, well.
The Right Stuff, though, was he spent 3 years researching the hell out of that one.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic
My
book.
favorite Gay Talese line when he did the DiMaggio biography, the DiMaggio essay.
Yes.
Joe, said Marilyn Monroe, just getting off her plane from Korea. You never heard such cheering. Yes, I have, Joe DiMaggio said.
Yeah, that was a good thing. Talese, though, he had issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well.
He used to hang he'd write a piece.
Well, they'd be hung across the
He'd
room.
write a page and then he'd hang it on a clothesline and study it to see whether he should use but or and.
Yeah.
Well,
come on, buddy.
Well, maybe we should have done it.
You guys that go on 24-hour deadlines, though, you don't have the affordability they do.
Or the talent.
I can see that.
Yeah, Wolf was
obsessing over
Wolf was
one
great,
word.
but he was a dandy man, wasn't he? With the white suits and the whole deal. He was. Bonfire of the Vanities was the greatest novel turned into a crap movie of all time. The movie was because you can't.
No.
If you were going to make a movie out of it, it had to be a 4-parter.
Right.
You know,
there's just too much detail
in there.
Yeah.
It was
the master of the universe.
Yes. Yeah.
Who starred in that dog?
Hanks, didn't he? Wasn't Hanks in it? Bonfire.
Yeah, it was Hanks. Tom Hanks was Bonfire of the Vanities.
I thought it was Willis. Bruce?
No,
Bruce Willis?
No.
What am I thinking Willis was in?
He was in.
I don't know. It was
Die Hard.
I don't think
Wolf rang. I don't think Tom Wolf wrote Die Hard.
I don't think I've ever made it through Bonfire, the movie.
Oh, you can't.
It's unwatchable.
It's awful. But the book was fantastic. Yeah, he was quite the
Remember
writer.
Vroom Vroom, there goes Junior Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, my goodness, yes. That's a great piece.
Yep.
What year would you put on that?
That was
Early
in the-
60s, right?
No, I would say mid to late 60s.
Oh, Rook, that was Mrs. Doubtfire. Robin Williams.
I got to go here. We got to go here. But David Cass Stevens, a friend of mine, is a young sports writer in North Carolina. He's covering a NASCAR race with all these old rednecks, and Junior's car gets knocked out of the race. So they all paddle over to Junior's garage and
favorite quote coming up.
Say, Junior, what happened? Junior says, something blowed, and they all turn around and walk. Something blowed.
We'll be back shortly, but now, thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota, at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business. And nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now.
And a post-Die Hard Bruce Willis was indeed in that movie.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he was either the reporter or the bad guy or something, but he was in there.
Thank you.
And Melanie Griffith also.
Right.
Mixed economic news today sent stocks to a lower close, knocking the Dow Jones Industrial Average back into negative territory for the year. The Dow fell 193 points at closing at 24,706. The Nasdaq Composite lost 59 points, and the S&P 500 dropped 18. Billionaire hedge fund founder David Tepper agreed to buy the Carolina Panthers for an NFL record of about $2.2 billion. In December, Panthers owner Jerry Richardson announced he would sell the team he founded shortly after allegations of workplace misconduct against him surfaced. The sale comes just before the league's owners meeting next week in Atlanta, where they can officially approve Tepper's purchase of the Panthers. Target is launching a new men's grooming section that will include new products and services. The retailer said it expects its men's grooming business to double by 2020. Featured brands will include Harry's, Beard, Brand, and Bird. The section will go into 11 stores to start and then expand to more than 90 by the end of the year. I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now on 1500 ESPN.
Okay, thank you very much, Bruce. We're going to let you go and check traffic because the Crosstown Freeway is decadent and depraved. This one's sponsored by Casper Sleep. Be ready for Fear and Loathing, westbound 62, Hiawatha, over to that single lane at 34th. Once you clear that, you can put your foot down, spool it up, and get over to around France Avenue before you have to seriously back it down again. With a 100-night risk-free...
Not talking yet.
Okay.
These are the eyes that never knew how to smile till you came into my life.
Do. Here's John. Hey, who did that?
Was that you?
That was Joe.
Joe.
Listen, Kenny. There.
I know.
You feel better now?
But they're paid professionals.
What is happening on the traffic channel?
What is these smoke?
What is these our fires?
This is called a buildup.
Show and tell, just a game I play when I wanna say I love.
Remember when music had hooks? Wow.
Oh, man, that had a lot of hooks, John.
So good.
Kidding.
Man.
Remember when music didn't suck?
We sound old.
Al Wilson.
Yep.
To answer your question, it looks, we don't know yet, but it looks like smoke coming out of one of the parking garages in downtown St. Paul. It could possibly be a car fire, but it's very, very black smoke. I mean, it looks like...
It's the St. Joseph's ramp.
It looks like tires on fire. It's so black.
How can a concrete parking ramp be on fire?
No, I said a car inside on fire.
I spent a lot of time in that ramp. That ramp was right
just
up
to
there.
hang out?
Secret hiding spot?
I had issues at the St. Joe's, and that's as a chaotic place, that ranks right there with the Victory ramp.
All right,
that's an interesting ramp.
Sunny and 74 degrees. NBA playoffs tonight right here. The Cavaliers at Boston, game 2, 7 o'clock. Celtics lead the series 1-0. Right before that, the Adrian Heath Show. The coach catches you up on all things Minnesota United. That's at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the NBA game.
Patrick, I believe you once for a short time in between radio gigs, didn't you give tours of that parking ramp?
This is level 4. We have parking and short term and no car fires. Yes, this is where these frauds with their handicap stickers take all the good spots, man.
Right.
Over the east, you can see a beautiful I-94, and its traffic is flowing freely.
Speaking of that, I have to tell you a story Harrigan told me off the air. He was in the grocery store yesterday. He's behind somebody that's taking forever, yes. And this patron is telling the lady behind the counter all about his trip to Itasca, where he went hiking and camping and swimming and up and down hills. And the guy finally finished his story, and Dave followed him out the door, and the guy goes right to the handicap spot, gets in his car, and drives away.
Really?
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen at the Krabby Coffee Shop.
No, we aren't going to have any.
A, we don't want to hear about your BS vacation. And B, we ain't going to give you a handicap spot.
We're not going to have any.
Either that or they're all handicap spots.
Yes, right.
With the latest, the controversy in the news and what we talked about.
No toy horses. We've already established that. Right?
You ain't bringing in your pet insect.
But how about next door to the Krabby Coffee Shop, the Krabby Daycare Center? You know, just I wonder how that would pan out.
Twins Cardinals tonight at Target Field. Jose Barrios for the Twins. Jack Flaherty pitches for St. Louis. One other baseball note. Robinson.
That was a disgusting effort last night by the hitters. That slop baller shut you out. That was brutal.
It looked like a couple of those pitches just couldn't make it to the plate. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah. Joe letting the 87-mile-an-hour heater right down the middle of the plate go through him.
Yeah. Robinson Cano suspended by Major League Baseball 80 games for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. 35-year-old Cano, of course, put on the disabled list this week. He has a fractured hand. The suspension starts right away, so time spent on the DL is included there.
I was going to ask that.
Because I don't know why it is included, but he doesn't get paid. So
right,
maybe
correct.
That's why.
Eligible to come off or to start playing again on August 14th.
Well, he was appealing it, so I suppose he just dropped the appeal so he could have the suspension go on while he was recovering from his broken hand.
At $24 million a year, 80 games is going to cost him some money.
12 mil.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Lasix, but T.J. Quinn, the ESPN guy who does all of this drug steroid stuff, said baseball doesn't just suspend you for Lasix. They had some evidence that it was used to cover up a steroid. So.
Rookie, how much would $12 million weigh in a suitcase?
$12 million?
Yeah. We don't want to know. John Height?
No. Watch this. Watch. I'll tell you what it is. $12 million.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Times.
What was
times
50?
22 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah. Here we go.
264 pounds. If it was
what?
$100 bills.
All right. Good. Right. There you go.
That'd be right. That'd be good to have 26 pounds of money.
Open a daycare facility in Minneapolis. You can have it.
News notes from today. We have breaking political news. Former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty will not seek the GOP endorsement at the state convention next month. His campaign spokesman Sam Winter says Pawlenty will go straight to the primary in August. The spokesman released a statement saying Tim appreciates the convention delegates, but his late entry into the race effectively precludes a fair fight for endorsement at the convention.
Is he not far enough off the deep end to get the nomination, or what? Is he not Trumpy enough, or what?
I don't know.
Who's the front runner? Who's going to get the nomination?
Maybe Matt Dean.
Okay.
From the Star Tribune, Minnesota Republicans introduced legislation today granting state regulators expanded powers to investigate child care fraud after that Channel 9 news report that illegally obtained funds may be going overseas to fund terrorist groups. Legislation would enable the Department of Human Services to close child care providers that take part in the state's child care subsidy program but do not fully cooperate with investigators. It would also create new criminal and civil penalties for anyone who transferred fraudulently obtained money to countries on the U.S. State Department's travel ban list. It would also direct the state legislative auditor to investigate the Child Care Assistance Program, which subsidizes the child care expenses of about 29,000 low-income children every month. All of this a response to the Fox 9 news report that said Minnesota refugee families are taking suitcases full of cash on flights from Minneapolis-St. Paul International to countries in Africa and the Middle East where terrorist groups are active. Acting Human Services Commissioner Chuck Johnson said his agency is looking into the concerns raised in the report, but he cast doubt on the scope of the fraud described. The state has closed 13 child care centers following fraud investigations since 2014 and collected $4.6 million in court-ordered restitution for fraudulent overpayments, according to Johnson. He added there was no evidence of fraudulent money being funneled overseas to fund terrorist groups in any of the criminal cases pursued by the DHS Inspector General's office since 2014.
How do you even get $1 million in cash?
Well, I see
your bank. If I go to my bank, I think I could get maybe $9,000 in cash.
Well, it's probably accumulated over time, Joe.
So I'd have to go to the bank 10 times.
Right. You got time.
That'll give you 100,000 according to your math.
Many times. I have to hang out at the bank a lot.
If you need some cash, let me know.
Yeah, right.
I see Kenny.
I got a suitcase.
I see Kenny with the new part-time job, though, dressing as a sky cap and going to the United counter. Let me help you with those bags here. What do you got in here? $1 million? Put it right over here by this dolly, and we'll take care of it for you.
Then you do the bag switch.
Yeah, you do the sting switch.
Right.
My suitcase was green earlier. No, it's okay.
We spray painted it for security.
Follow up to a story we had a couple
It's
of
blue now. Get on the plane.
Follow up to a story we had a couple of weeks ago. Police in Michigan have tracked down 6 of those 8 trucks that were driven out of a Ram factory earlier this month. They're looking for clues, but they still have no idea who stole them.
Didn't we suspect it was an inside job?
We did, yep. They still have no idea. The Ram 1500 pickups were ripped off during a theft on May 3rd that involved a gang of drivers slipping through a fence at the Warren Truck Assembly Plant, getting in the vehicles, and then busting through the main gate in a convoy.
Great idea. My God.
Proving the strength of a Dodge Ram that it went blasting right through the front
Yeah, but
gate.
then you immediately need body work.
Yeah,
You part them out and sell the parts.
Well,
because you're not going to be able to register those.
You part them out, man.
As Kenny just said, some of the vehicles had been stripped of parts, according to the Detroit Free Press. Others, though, were still in condition and appeared to be just left there because they ran out of gas.
Well, maybe they're not so smart.
Investigators.
That would be a bad reason to give up on a new truck. Right?
Investigators did find a pocket Bible inside one of the trucks. They say they're testing it for DNA evidence. All of the pickups are being thoroughly swabbed for genetic evidence and fingerprinted. A $1,000 reward for info leading to the recovery of the vehicles or the arrest of the people is being offered.
You like it that much?
I was instructed by a member of the staff that I don't argue with.
Mr. Olson?
I don't argue with you either.
Oh, thanks.
Him for different reasons.
I'll let it get to that part so Kenny can hear it, and then I'll read a story. Okay?
You can go anytime.
No, you want to hear this right here. I know you do.
You came into my life.
I don't want this to come off as racist as it sounds.
Well, then don't say it. Then just keep it inside. Just save it for the relatives.
We were in good shape when the brothers were singing songs like this, man. That's all I got to say.
Racist?
That's all I got to say is
Researchers.
We could all use a little more. Am I black enough for you?
There are still really good young soul singers out there. They just don't get played on the radio anymore.
Okay.
So,
Well,
but they're
let's-
still making records.
Let's
Trust
find
me.
them and have them come in as our Friday live guest.
I love that.
Researchers using digital technology deciphered the writing of 2 pages of Anne Frank's diary that she had covered over with brown masking paper, discovering 4 risque jokes and candid explanations of sex, contraception, and prostitution.
She was cutting up behind the scenes, huh?
Uh-huh.
Did you hear the one about
Frank van Vree, director of the Netherlands Institute for War, Holocaust, and Genocide Studies, said anyone who reads the passages that have now been discovered will be unable to suppress a smile. The dirty jokes, he says, are classics among growing children. They make it clear that Anne, with all her gifts, was above all also just an ordinary girl.
In fact, the one ended with, "No, it's just a little ice cream."
Mm-hmm. Potty talk is naughty talk.
Anne was age
I don't know how to say
13.
that in German.
Niet.
No, that's Russian. Wait, no.
Nine.
I think the language is why they were such warmongers in their day. The Germans.
It got loose. The gruff language.
Yes, it is. Ruskies, too. The Ruskies got a tough language.
Yeah, chill out there, Ivan.
In China, when Su Yan bought her family a puppy 2 years ago, she was surprised by how much the dog ate. She said it'd eat a box of fruits and 2 buckets of noodles every day. There's a reason for that. It turns out the dog is actually now a 250-pound bear.
Wait a minute, check this out. You mean to tell me she had a pet dog that turned out to be a bear?
That's correct.
And it was going to be her.
We're all right, though. We're all right.
It was going to be her comfort animal.
Yes.
So.
Right. Bring this thing on a plane.
We have not lost our relationship with nature. Not at all. We're okay.
Fluffy.
The family realized their error when the pet...
Here, Bunny, here.
Realized their error when the pet did not stop growing and all of a sudden started showing a talent for walking on two legs.
Wow.
Miss Yoon, a villager living near the city of Kunming in Yunnan province,
Did
said,
they shoot it?
No. The more he grew, the more like a bear he looked, and I'm a little scared of bears.
They give him a little red hat to wear?
A little collar, rainbow collar.
How to ride a bicycle?
Yeah.
The animal was taken into care now at the Yunnan Wildlife Rescue Center after the family got in touch requesting help. Footage taken by officials shows it standing pretty tall, about 7 feet almost. Staff were so intimidated by the animal, they sedated it before transportation. It's been identified as an endangered Asiatic black bear. Family says when they bought it, they thought it was a Tibetan Mastiff back in 2016.
Wow. That is spectacular.
The internet is full of tattoo fails, where there's wrong things on the tattoos.
I like the misspellings. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, well,
like regrets instead of no regrets.
This is the story of a misspelling, but it ends differently than other stories, probably. Local newspaper Blekinge Läns Tidning reported over the weekend at, this is in Sweden, by the way.
In Sweden?
Yep. A 30-year-old Kryhult resident, Johanna Sandstrom, went to a local tattoo studio around 3 years ago to get the names of her 2 kids inked on her arm. The 2 kids, Nova and Kevin. There was one problem. When she got home, she noticed Kevin had become Kelvin.
Whoops.
When she discovered the mistake, she said she broke into tears. My heart stopped and I thought I was going to faint.
Kevin, we're going to the court to change your name legally.
I think, Reavers, you just stepped on his line.
Oh, no.
Thanks a lot,
I
Chris.
was joking.
Sandstrom went straight back to the tattoo parlor where the artist laughed and said there wasn't much he could do. He did give her a phone number of a tattoo removal clinic.
Laughed?
When Sandstrom discovered it would take multiple treatments to remove the tattoo, she and her husband opted for a different course of action. We decided to rename the boy, she said.
It's almost heartening, though, to realize it's not just here where nothing's holding. This is Sweden.
Kevin became Kelvin. Not just to match the tattoo, but because the name, they said, had grown on the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Sandstrom said, I'd never heard the name Kelvin before. There isn't anyone who names their kid Kelvin.
Calvin?
Kelvin, because it was Kevin. And
Kelvinator. What's Kelvinator, Kenny? Is that a heater or something?
I don't know.
It used to be a brand, didn't it?
Yeah.
An oven or something.
Yeah.
Sandstrom says she's okay with how things turned out. Says her son was not affected at all by the name change.
Excuse me for my distraction over here, but I have lined up a royal wedding correspondent for Friday's show.
Is that guaranteed? Is that verified?
Will Morley will be our wedding correspondent.
Hello, wankers.
He introduced Rookie to his favorite British term.
A gherkin. Hello, gherkins.
From Birmingham.
Bloody awful things. I'm quite excited to see next one. Really serve gherkins.
My wife met him once and wanted to marry him off to every woman she
doesn't?
knew.
Oh, I know.
We all want to jump into the sack with him.
He'll be on site?
Oh, I think he'll be able to give us the vibe.
He's a Viscount or something, isn't he? A prince or something?
I think he can get inside the gate.
He's charming enough. He could talk his way anywhere.
In Greenwood, Indiana.
He's probably over in East St. Paul right now.
I don't know. He was at He was at our place one day, and Mackie's beautiful girlfriend was there. And let me just say this: Mackie's lucky that she went.
She didn't jump ship.
She's lucky that Will went back to England. Let's put it that way.
She almost cuckolded him, huh? Hey, watch this, Phil. This is how a real man does it.
In Greenwood, Indiana, 56-year-old Norman Keith Whiteman was arrested Saturday and charged with indecent exposure when he was found running down the street naked. It all happened about 4:20 in the morning Saturday along West Kirksey Drive near Lyman Avenue. Why was Norman running down the street naked?
Why, John?
Tell us, please.
Told
Speaking
officers
in the quads?
told officers he'd been looking for snakes earlier, and there were snakes in his pants.
Oh,
right. You want to see?
He said this.
Oh, we trust you.
Said when the snake started biting him, he had to undress on the side of the road in plain view of motorists, took off running away from the snakes. An officer found pants on South Main Street, but no other clothing.
Can I guess the chemical? PCP.
Well, the man appeared to be under the influence of drugs, according to the police report. He denied taking any drugs or alcohol, but he did ask to go to the hospital, but wouldn't say why he wanted to go.
Yeah, PCP.
The officer did write on the report when he found the pants, there were no snakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe the snake bit him. See, and that would cause him to have terror.
Where would the world be without hallucinogenics? I think we're lucky we invented them. Or actually, we didn't invent them; they were out there. You know,
yeah. You can get them.
You can get them. I can get you some hallucinogenics by 3:00.
Boy, what a sports day in Minnesota. We got a hockey franchise in the women's hockey league, pro hockey league. We now have 5 teams in that league, so I would imagine 4 go to the playoffs, so we have a damn good chance to reach the playoffs, I would think.
We will create a frenzy.
And then we also may be getting a PGA Tour event if Houston does not come up with a sponsor before June 1st. Hollis Gavner says we're going to be getting a regular stop every year.
Where would they play?
PPC Twin Cities. I think they'd spend a few million and try to toughen that place up a little bit. And then, of course, we have Brandon Lang, the great. He's going to give us the Las Vegas view on gambling now being opened up around the country possibly within the next year.
When would this tournament be here? What time of year?
I saw it today. The quote from him was it'd be the week before the U.S. Open.
Oh, that's safe then.
Yes, that's June. That's good, early June.
Because you couldn't have had one here yet. Well, maybe starting right now you could.
Yeah, you could. And Tom Kelly. So, man, we're action-packed today. We got good stuff going here.
1500 ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's 73 degrees, lovely afternoon. The Ride with Royce is coming up next, and many more surprises are in store for you. 73 degrees.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. It's crazy to think that a few weeks ago we were talking about whether or not Tua Tagovailoa should consider retiring. After 2 concussions and worldwide debates on player safety and NFL culpability, Tua has done nothing but go back to work and currently has the Dolphins riding a 3-game win streak and 1 loss behind the division favorite Buffalo Bills. While everyone was yapping about the end of his career, Tua Tagovailoa said he'll decide when it's time. And clearly, he's not ready to hang up the cleats. Hi, this is Chris Howard from the Plugged In with Chris Howard podcast. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including the MLB playoffs, the start of the NHL season, MMA, boxing, and golf. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.